Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is a combined Kings pregame and our open forum because we've got Thursday night football, and it is a good one in the NFC North with the Lions and the Packers. The Kings, a two-game road trip tonight, Memphis, tomorrow night, San Antonio. So we break down that game. Jerry joins us at intermission. We take your phone calls after the game. Ryan, why don't we start right there for a moment? Because, if the Kings are able to win this game, that all of a sudden changes the tide on what was a horrendous 2 weeks. You would then have two signature wins back to back against Houston and Memphis, and maybe it gets this team rolling.
Yeah, it might, but then I'm going to push you to the third game. If you can't beat San Antonio after beating those two teams, then is it a step back? Is it not? But no, Grant, it would be two signature wins in a row against two teams that are very similar. And I would say Memphis, probably the second best team per net rating and the way they've been playing as of late right now in the West.
Well, if I had told you before the Houston game that the Kings would go 2-1, you would have jumped up and down with pom-poms. Okay. So you got to look at the big picture. That's what's in store for them. But it's not going to be easy. Memphis at home is really good. They're having a good year. They're coming off a loss at Dallas where they did not play well in the fourth quarter. I'm expecting the A version of the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. And you don't know with the Kings. They have not been consistent this year.
No, they haven't. But you know what's interesting? When you look at them on 0 days rest, that's when they play at their highest pace. They get their most field goal attempts up, and that's what they're going to need tonight against Memphis because that's what they do so well. Pace, pace, pace. Taylor Jenkins is going to have his team ready to play. And it's going to be the little things. It's going to be Desmond Bane. How are you going to be able to guard him? He's still coming back from an oblique injury. And then also Jalen Wells. We talked about him yesterday. He can absolutely light the Kings up. Grant, to me, it comes down to hustle stats tonight. Can the Kings do the little things?
Well, how about the Lakers? I did a rant on this today. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights. They're not even trying defensively. I mean, it's embarrassing out there. Absolutely embarrassing.
JJ Redick lit into his team, second game in a row where they just did not show up. And Grant, if you look at the Lakers' past 10 games, they've got a little bit of the Kings from last season going to them. They either win by double digits or they lose by double digits. The one thing that's been a constant, though, Grant, LeBron's still playing pretty damn good basketball.
He is. He's pretty amazing at age 40. So a lot of games going on in the West tonight that will impact the standings. The Nuggets are in Cleveland taking on right now the best team in the NBA. The Mavericks are in D.C. to play the Wizards. Elsewhere, the Thunder are in Toronto. The Suns are at New Orleans. No Kevin Durant, and, of course, nobody for New Orleans. Bulls and Spurs from San Antonio. And the Rockets and the Warriors, no Curry, no Draymond Green in that game.
That'll be a big difference. See how the Rockets bounce back. Ime Udoka fined for his actions against the Kings last game, but you can bet they'll be ready to play tonight.
Yeah, Ime Udoka and I guess, it was a total of $100,000 in fines. So, I'm not really sure if that's a deterrent. I don't think it is, but the Rockets and the Kings, and that was a big-time win for Sacramento. All right, let's get to the game tonight. This is an interesting game. The last year, when the Lions were rolling, it was a Thanksgiving Day game. This is now a week after Thanksgiving. And the Packers went into Motown and put one on the Lions. And here we go again tonight, Packers and Lions. And this is going to be a really good game. I think that you're going to see both of these teams in the playoffs in all likelihood. Detroit right now, 11-1, Minnesota 10-2. Green Bay is 9-3.
Green Bay, I'm really impressed with the way that they're playing. It seems like as the season goes along, they're putting it together. Detroit dealing with a ton of injuries on the other side of the ball. Xavier McKinney, Grant, he has been huge for the Packers defense. And in the last 4 games between these two, the road team has won. So something tells me I'm feeling the Packers tonight. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I think they've got a good chance. McKinney, by the way, not good enough to play for the Giants, so he ended up in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Detroit has just been squeaking by their last couple of games. They've been like Kansas City the last couple of weeks. They've really been fortunate to win a few games, and games have come right down to the wire. Good teams find ways to win games, and the Lions have done that. But I'm thinking this is going to be a very close game.
I think it is. Doesn't it come down to the run game for both teams? I mean, last year, the game you talked about, that's where Jordan Love kind of signed, sealed his contract.
Yep.
in that one. But Sonic and Nichols, Gibbs and Montgomery for Detroit, and Josh Jacobs, who's catching the ball pretty decently out of the backfield.
Yes, he is.
What can that defense do to kind of slow down that attack? And Grant, second game, Jordan Love hasn't had an interception. Can he keep that streak going tonight?
Boy, how about that? Hey, your team that you root for has a hell of a game coming up this week. The Seahawks are in Arizona that could very well decide the NFC West.
We'll see. It's always a tough game. The Cardinals and the Seahawks always come down to the wire. The Seahawks usually have good luck in Arizona, but it comes down to Geno Smith. Which one's going to show up? The running game for the Seahawks. The defense has been pretty good, but if they get it, it should be the NFC West in a box, ready to go for Christmas, but who knows?
A good game Sunday night. You have the Chargers and the Chiefs from Kansas City. And then you have the Niners. They're on life support right now. They're at home against the Bears. They're going to have a very difficult time winning the division. That's the only way they're going to get in. I don't see it happening.
Well, isn't it funny that they're only 2 games back in the division, though? That's what's interesting to me.
Yeah, but they've already lost to Arizona at home.
True.
Right? So they split their 2 games with Seattle. But, we're in December now when you say only 2 games back.
Yeah, you've only got 4 or 5 games left. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, you think about this. So they have 5 games left to make up 2. And when I look at what they've done, they lose all the tiebreakers right now because they're 1-3 in the division. So, I'm looking at their schedule. I'm looking at their personnel. I'm looking at their injuries. And I'm asking myself, are they really good enough right now? Because they end the season at Arizona. So if they're able to stay relevant for that game, that would be huge. I don't know what Seattle would do, but here's their schedule. After the Bears, they play the Rams at home. Then they're at Miami. Then they're home Detroit. At Arizona. So to me, at the worst, they have to go 3-1, maybe 4-0. I don't think they can beat at Miami the way they're playing right now and home against the Lions. I don't see it.
Yeah, home against the Lions is a really difficult one. And if the Niners get in, doesn't the outlook change with the injury situation? It's like, if they had a full tank and you still had McCaffrey, it's like maybe you got a ticket to the dance and you could put it together for 4 weeks. But it is a tall ask. And speaking of what's happened this season with the Niners, Grant, does it change anything for you with the future, looking at Brock Purdy and the decisions that this franchise has to make?
Well, Brock Purdy's my quarterback. I mean, I don't think that's your problem with the 49ers right now. Let's face it. They were a team that I forecasted after training camp would not be very good this year. I did not like what I saw in training camp with the Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams holdout. Then McCaffrey got hurt. It just had all of the signs of this is not going well and it's going to snowball, and it has snowballed. But I don't think Brock Purdy's, who are you going to get that's better than Brock Purdy?
Yeah, not a lot out there on the market. There's a lot of different theories going around about how the Niners should go about it, but you're getting significantly older with that team. The window is significantly closing with or without Brock Purdy. And the big question then becomes Brandon Ayuk. What version of him are you going to get back coming off of the torn ACL?
Yeah, your other games this week, Jacksonville is at Tennessee. The Dolphins host the Jets. Atlanta is at Minnesota. The Saints travel to MetLife to take on the Giants. Carolina at Philly. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Raiders at Bucks. Seattle at the Cardinals. Buffalo at the Rams. We told you about the Niners. Sunday, Chargers, Chiefs. Monday, Cincinnati, Dallas. Not a lot of good games this week.
Exactly.
There really
right.
aren't.
There's about 3 or 4
games.
Yeah.
3
or 4.
I think the Sunday night game might be the best game with the Chargers and the Chiefs, and of course tonight's game. I think those are your 2 best games.
Yeah, and luckily both teams tonight are coming off of 7 days rest or 6 days rest. It's a regular week. They both played on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. All right. So what do you see for this Kings team tonight? I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't see either team with a lot of separation. I think this game will be up for grab with halfway through the fourth quarter.
I think this game's going to be decided on the perimeter. Predominantly. You've got great guard play for both teams. I think it's going to be which team can play without fouling. Memphis does not shoot free throws very well, but they will send you to the line as well. In last game, Grant, the Kings only shot 60%, got there 20 times. So how can the Kings control the pick and roll defense with Ja Morant? Are they going to have that second person help out, which Jerry talked about? And then the three ball. That's the other thing, Grant. Memphis is the only team in the NBA that gives up more threes per game than the Kings. So if you're the Kings, do you want it to fall or do you not want to fall in love with the three ball tonight?
We're going to see with this Memphis team, because last year they were decimated by the Ja Morant situation, the Marcus Smart injury, the Steven Adams injury. They're back now. They're back. They're not going away.
No, and they've got options too coming off the bench. Scottie Pippen Jr. not playing a ton of minutes right now, but Marcus Smart, the guy that you talked about, he played 25 minutes last game and did not score. So you know he's going to come out and want to be a little bit more aggressive, have a better game. It's going to be one, Grant, where I agree. The Kings come out, they play well. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and it's ultimately going to come down to the small things. The 50,
and I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. Memphis likes to play fast. I was talking with their radio announcer, Eric Hasseltine.
Yeah.
He said they have a new offense that they have in Memphis and that they're not totally comfortable with it. But on nights where they are, it is a thing to watch because he said they're pretty good defensively. And he said that guys sometimes are not ready for the ball on Memphis because of the offense. And he said they're still getting acclimated to it, but that he thinks it has really good potential.
Yeah, he also said that the way they share it, they're number one in the NBA in passing the ball. So when you nailed it, when it clicks, it clicks. It's about reads and about where players are going to be knowing your teammates.
All right, so we'll see what happens tonight. Don't forget, we will have Jerry Reynolds at halftime and postgame right here on If You Don't Like That. And then quick flight to San Antonio and take on a Spurs team tomorrow that has already beat you twice this year. And the story has been Victor Wembanyama.
Can't let that guy push you around again for a third time this year. That's one where they got to come out with some fire. Win or lose tonight. Show some character. Don't let them do it again to you.
Yeah, and again, the Spurs are playing tonight at home against the Chicago Bulls. So both teams on a back-to-back. I'm looking at the Kings' schedule, and if they can get through this little mini stretch here and get a win, I think, if you could win one of these next two games, I'll take that right now.
Sure.
I would. You got a chance. The problem is the Kings have not been very good at home. You got two games coming up right before Christmas, two games back-to-back against the Lakers. I don't know what to say about the Lakers right now because they were playing very well in the first month of the season. And lately, they look horrible. They look awful, and the effort looks bad. And again, all people are talking about J.J. Redick, but you have to understand, J.J.'s got a veteran coaching staff next to him. He's got a really good coaching staff that is next to him. It's not just Redick. I just find it hard to believe this is coaching right now. I find that hard to believe.
Well, J.J. talked about it after the game last night. He's like, look, what am I supposed to do if my guys can't even call out the most fundamental things, the reds, the switches? I can't do that for them. And to me, it seems like an effort thing when you watch the Lakers play on certain nights. They're there and then they are not. Now, you got certain guys like LeBron. And here's the other thing, Grant. AD's kind of taken a step back, too. AD was leading the charge at the start of the season, and that's when they were playing their best basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. But the last two games for the Lakers have been absolutely embarrassing.
Terrible.
Embarrassing.
Tyler Hero lit them up last night.
Oh, my God. But, it's effort, right? You don't expect – this is December, right? This is not like the end of the season. They look to me like the end of a season team right now, the last two games.
Napes, they're not a young team. That's the thing that you got to think about. Yeah, you've got some energy with Dalton Connect, but other than that, they're kind of an old team.
Something else about Memphis that jumps right out at me. We talk about this. Their point differential this year is plus 8.1. That's
beautiful.
Huge.
Yes. second best in the
Yeah.
Western Conference. And that's what scares me. You were talking about Eric and your guys' conversation. This is a team that's still figuring it out. To me, when you look at the West possibly being reshaped, Oklahoma City and Memphis are right there at the start of that line to take this Western Conference forward. They play tough basketball, they do the little things.
All right. Again, we appreciate your comments. If you want to call the show, you can do so. The links are on your chat board, and you've got the QR code above the shoulder as well. So you can give us a shout. We will be with you here, leading you up closer to tip off with the Kings and the Grizzlies. We got all the coverage. There's the link for you. Hope that you take a moment and give us a call. I want to tell you that this weekend, brunch at Bennett's. Oh, it's great. That's right. Whether it's Sacramento, Roseville, or the West Side Grill in Rockland, you will love the food at Bennett's. Prime seafood and steak. Don't forget about their daily happy hours. Great place to gather for the holidays, 2 to 6, with great share plates and tremendous prices on the wines. Over 60 different types of wine available by the glass. All there for you at Bennett's. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com.
Can't wait to get out there. That's one of my favorite things to do on the weekends. Thank you, MC. Do us a favor, give us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it, or retweet if you're watching on the X.
Yes, we would appreciate that. And we've got a full day coming at you again tomorrow with the Kings and the Spurs. We get you ready for the weekend, and the standings will definitely look somewhat different because you've got a lot of the Western teams playing each other tonight, and you've got like Denver in Cleveland. Have you watched Cleveland play much? Have you watched them on TV? I've not really watched them play much.
I've not.
They look really, really good, obviously.
Yeah, they jump off the page to you with the numbers and the run that they went on at the start of the season, but the consistency, they're keeping it going.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, you think about that. They're 19-3. Their point differential is plus 10.5, which is huge. And tonight they're taking on a Denver team that's 11-8. I got to tell you, Denver is kind of floating right now. You know, when they lost Aaron Gordon for a long period of time here, I thought that they would be impacted more. I give them credit. You know, they're 11-8. That's not great, but they're like Memphis. You know, when Memphis lost John Moran for a couple of weeks, they were okay. They stayed afloat, and now look at Memphis at 14-8.
Yeah, it's a testament to Michael Malone. He holds those guys accountable. There's just a different level there, Grant. And anytime you have Jokic, one of the best players in the world, you're going to have a chance. And we keep talking about this net rating. They're one of those teams that no matter what goes on, you lose a player, it still stays right around the same where it should be at.
And then Dallas, they're back to where they were. Remember, we were talking about, what's wrong with Dallas? Well, nothing's wrong with Dallas. They're now 14-8.
Yeah, but we're starting to see some separation. The Clippers last night, they had a really bad game down at home. They couldn't get anything going. And speaking of net ratings, we're talking about the Lakers. They're sitting there in the 9 seed in the play-in, yet they're minus 4.2.
Well, the last two games has really swayed that rating quite a bit. When you lose by 41 and basically, what was it, 109-80?
Yeah,
you're gonna affect your that's not real good for your net rating.
It's not, but usually the good teams, whether you win or lose, it stays right in the same neighborhood. Through this Kings stretch, although it's not been where it was at 4.3, at least it hasn't gone negative. It stayed between 0.3, 0.6. So that's kind of the barometer for me when I'm looking at this point of the season.
And again, Memphis tonight, very good at home at 10-3. And 4-5 on the road. People say, well, gee, that's not very good. Well, actually, if you can stay close to 500 on the road and win 30-plus games at home, that's very good. And Memphis is on target for winning 30 games. That's the key.
And especially when you've dealt with injuries, Grant. You've had no John Moran at times. You've been playing without Zach Edey. Marcus Smart was dinged up a little bit. So it says a lot to their team. Yeah,
I was looking forward to seeing Zach Edey play. And he's I watched a couple games with Memphis, and he was like a lot of rookies. There were nights when I said, oh, he looked pretty good. And then other nights where I'm like, no, not ready yet. You know, he was that type of a player. But in talking with Eric and talking with some other folks, they think he's going to fit in very nicely with that team.
Well, he's going to continue to get into a little bit of a different shape too.
Yes.
Wait till the NBA guys get their hands on his body and,
Yes.
changes come. Look at Keegan Murray over his career so far in Sacramento. And I think they're a little bit more scary in this sense when you have no Zach Edey. They already like to play fast. Now they get to really get up and down the court and play fast with that lineup on the floor without him.
Yeah, he was assigned to their G League team yesterday.
Yeah, he's
So,
getting his rehab in. Yeah.
which is good. That means he's pretty close to coming back.
Yep.
And then GG Jackson's out for another 6 to 8 weeks. He was a guy that was coming on pretty well, a second round pick. So we'll see. Here's the deal with Memphis. They're going to play a similar style to you. They like to run. They like to go up and down the floor. So again, I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I still think that's when the Kings are at their best. And we saw it the other night against Houston.
Well, it is, and this is where Mike Brown needs to be at his best too, Grant. When the Kings start to get a little bit out of control playing that style, because it'll happen once in a while, he's got to call the timeout right away.
Yep. I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's exactly right. But make sure you got one in your pocket for the end of the game.
Great point. Absolutely.
Yeah. There are times when I'm like, oh, gee, there's not enough timeout. So I think this is going to be a good game tonight. I think it's going to be a close game. And, of course, we look forward to your coverage. All right, who do you think tonight? Lions, Packers, folks. Who do you think wins this game tonight in Motown? Going to be a good one Thursday night. As Ryan made a good point, both teams played on Thursday of last week. So it's not like a short week for these teams.
Yep, they'll be fully rested. And that division, other than Chicago, what a great division. Vikings as well, all playing good football. We have gotten this question many times, but I'm going to kick it to you. Would you rather have HB or DeMar at this point in the season, Napes?
You're not going to like my answer. I'd rather have Harrison Barnes. I like the piece to the puzzle better. That I think bring out the attribute. So I mean, that has a lot.
It'd be interesting to see how that starting lineup would have looked with Monk in it and HB. How that changes things too, because that opens up opportunity.
I've been reading nothing but great things, and everyone down there. But he has fit in perfectly down there.
Yep, and Chris Paul too. How about Chris Paul? Put the nail in the coffin for the Kings the other night.
I mean, I didn't think this would be plus games. I mean, they're playing very well.
Yeah, they are, and with no Greg Popovich, hopefully his recovery's going well, recovering from the stroke.
Now, do I think that Harrison Barnes is a better all-around player than DeMar DeRozan? No. So every year, every game, he's going to be in the lineup.
Yep, and we have not seen the same from DeMar, unfortunately. And in some ways, it wasn't to the extent that DeMar does it, obviously. Harrison was the guy. When the Kings needed a bucket or they needed to slow down a little bit, they went to him. And quite frankly, Grant, there's some sets we have not seen this year that they would run with Harrison, like the high-low. Haven't seen that yet.
And the other part of this, I may have a totally different response 20 games from now. Maybe DeMar is going to finally, when I say maybe the team's finally going to figure it all out now that they're healthy for the first time this year, for all intents and purposes, with Monk as the starter, Herter coming off the bench. Maybe this will be a different look, and maybe the Kings go on a roll now, and maybe we're having a different conversation.
Yes, very true. Baki wants to trade you a cheeseburger for some cheesecake homemade. Send one Bennett's special to him. Can you get Bennett's all the way to Serbia for him, Napes?
Probably not.
Yeah, it might not be too good by the time
I'm not a cheesecake guy. I don't mind it, but it's not something I ever order when I go to a restaurant.
I'm with you.
It doesn't do it for me. So I'll take the Serbian burger. How about we trade something else like New York pizza? All right.
Oh, New York pizza travels well. You get the dry ice packed in it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there you go, Baki. I'm not a cheesecake. It's not my deal. Tell you what is though. If I have a plumbing issue, plumbing need, New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. You go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen, and they will be there for you this holiday season. If by chance you happen to need good plumbing, you need to have something repaired in a hurry, you have an issue. Yeah, New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They'll be there. Sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen.
So what's the dessert that pops off the menu for you that just screams napes every time you see it?
I'm not a huge dessert guy, first and foremost. Okay.
Okay.
That's number one. But something that would jump off I'm an ice cream sundae guy. If I do have a dessert, I love ice cream sundaes, but it's not something I order very often. I would probably say I ordered a dessert at a restaurant less than 5% of the time.
Yeah, it's tough unless you're sharing. If you're doing it with
Yeah.
the table and everybody's having a couple bites or it's the birthday, I hear you.
I mean,
there.
if I go to Seattle or Portland and I'm at the restaurant up there, El Gaucho,
You've told me about that.
they have their bananas Foster that they make tableside and the cherries Jubilee. Like I can't pass that up if I go to El Gaucho. They are both spick freaking tacular.
Gotta check out El Gaucho.
Oh, it's so good.
Gotta check that out for sure.
Ask Vladdy about some of those Serbian vegetables. Vladdy has never had a vegetable in his life. Not only does Vladdy not eat vegetables, you can't even put it on his plate. You can't put any garnishes on his cheeseburger on the plate, like a little piece of parsley or a little pickle with the side of lettuce. And no, he'll hand the plate back to the waiter and go, "I need this taken off my plate, please." He can't even touch it and move it off his plate himself. He has to have the waiter do it.
Oh my gosh. You might as well give the 7-footer a kid's menu.
I do. When I go out with Vladdy and he orders with his thick accent sometimes, if a waiter cannot understand him, I say, "Excuse me, just make believe you're serving a 5-year-old." And they go, "What?" I go, "Make believe you're serving a 5-year-old. Meat, bun, cheese, nothing else on the plate." "Okay, got it." And literally, that's how it comes. Meat, cheese, right? Meat, cheese, bun, nothing
Meat,
else.
cheese, bun.
Nothing else.
Give me the
Not a
caveman.
little, no pickle on the side with a little lettuce with a no. No. Make believe you're serving a 5-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Did the guys ever mess with him back in the day when it came to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean all the time. But he will not. He's never had a vegetable in his life. Will not. But I mean, I've never seen anyone not only not eat a vegetable, but can't even have anything on their plate. Like can't have it on their plate.
People are weird about that stuff. There's people where different foods can't touch. They've got to be in separate areas of the plate. I mean, everybody has their little idiosyncrasies.
Patrick says ice cream on a warm brownie. I'm not a brownie guy. I do like chocolate cake. Brownie's a little bit too rich for me. Not crazy about brownies. Chocolate cake, yeah, but I'm not a brownie guy. Don't really eat them.
Tres Leches cake, that will jump off the page to me. Tres Leches is incredible. And then a good bread pudding. Bennett sometimes has a
like
damn good bread pudding.
I'm with you. Bread pudding is excellent. I do enjoy bread pudding. That's a good one for you. A good bread pudding is excellent. Yeah.
Yep. You like the raisins?
Yes.
Yes, you have to have the raisins.
Yeah, good bread pudding. I also will do tiramisu.
Love tiramisu. Yes.
That's good too. So,
amen. You ever seen the Italians make that fresh with all the lady fingers and you soak it in the espresso and the rum?
I don't normally like I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. So people go, "Gee, then you like tiramisu?" But the best tiramisu I ever had was over in Europe, one in Paris and the other in Italy. It was like, I mean, I think I would have had a very difficult time over there because I would have ordered it 2 or 3 times a day.
It melts in your mouth. And this is one I can't get behind. Creme brulee.
I actually enjoy creme brulee sometimes. Someone says creme brulee at El Gaucho in Seattle. Haven't had it, but I'll take your word for it.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Will JJ Redick be the coach of the Lakers starting next year?
Yes.
I think he will.
Yeah. I don't think JJ is doing a bad job. I think he's actually done a decent job so far.
I think their problem, you just hit it right on the head, is their age. They're unathletic. They're not. And I say that, and LeBron still night in, night out's their best player, is he not?
He's right up there for triple doubles this season, Grant. Still on the list.
Is that unbelievable or what?
It just says something about the way the man takes care of his
Yes,
body and his business, how he handles it.
it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. The guy, D'Angelo Russell,
Uh,
I
yeah,
just I don't want him on my roster. I mean, and the reason is I don't know what you're going to get from him night for night. Some nights he's there, and some nights he's just like his defense last night or the other night. I couldn't believe it. It's like he didn't even care.
This is complete reckless speculation, but sometimes when I watch him play basketball, I wonder if basketball is number one for him. It seems like there's other things, other interests going on, and like you said, disinterested at times. But then other times he's come in and killed the Kings from beyond the 3-point line.
Well, the Kings and Lakers play each other 3 times here coming up before the end of the month. Keep that in mind.
It's the right time to be catching the Lakers, right?
Probably. I mean,
should be,
but they don't play for. I think it's the 20th and 21st. Don't hold me to those exactly, but the Lakers still have time to find themselves. And remember, they're still ahead of the Kings in the standings.
They got them the 19th, the 21st,
okay, there you go.
28th.
Okay, there you have it. Hey, don't forget about Sunrise Landing, the newest residential community in Calusa. You go to calusasunrise.com. You'll get all the information you need on Sunrise Landing. No Mellorews, no homeowners on these beautiful models to choose from. This is a Blazona development project in Calusa, Sunrise Landing, calusasunrise.com, adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Good access to the major arteries like I-5, Highway 20, and Highway 45. calusasunrise.com will get you all the information you need. Don't forget Kings, Grizzlies. We got all the coverage for you, coming up for you with the halftime with Jerry and the post-game show. Fox Morant, always fun to watch.
Always fun to watch. Flores, do you think the Kings make another move before the deadline? What's out there?
You never know what could possibly happen or not. They do get, hopefully, Carter back at some point after the first of the year. I would think it's more towards February. So maybe that gives them a lift, off the bench. You don't know. The key is you got to stay in this thing, and you're still,
Bingo.
Just because you beat Houston doesn't mean you fixed everything. You're still 2 games under 500.
We might be at a trade deadline where it doesn't matter if
Right.
you make a move. You
That's
may be looking to make moves for a different reason. Abraham's keys to the game. Lock in on defense tonight. Need Isaac Jones to bring the energy again. Domas can't over dribble. Need to make our threes. Anything you add to that, Apes?
Not really. I think more importantly, they need to defend the 3.
Yeah. They have to be active. Look, they had 15, speaking of Memphis steals last game, the last game they played. So the Kings cannot make the dumb decisions in transition. They have to play with energy and efficiency. That's where
Zach wants to know how's Pollard. Scott's doing well. I just was messaging him before he came on the show today. He's in Nashville currently. He had his blood work and some other tests done in Nashville. He goes back there to the Vanderbilt Medical Center where he had his heart transplant. So he makes the 4.5-hour drive from Indianapolis to Nashville with Dawn, and he does most of his checkups there. And the biggest challenge for Scott, he's on so much medication, and some medication agrees with his body and some doesn't. All of anti-rejection medication, and they have to find the right balance. And some meds just don't go with his body and some do. So it's fine tuning all of that because the medicine that he takes basically saves his life. So that's the biggest issue that he has right now with the recovery. And recovery is not even the right word, actually. He is recovered, but the ongoing process, because your body can reject your new organ at any time. It can reject your heart at any time. And it's the medication that you take that is meant to have your body accept your heart and not reject it.
Incredible stuff. I've seen him on social media getting out a little bit more. You know, he has to be careful with that, but his
Yep.
son's still getting recruited
Yep.
for football.
Yep.
So cool
Yep. His
stuff.
son unfortunately tore his ACL with about 3 weeks left to go in the season, and is doing rehab and has been going on visits. So, it's extremely unfortunate timing to have that type of an injury for a senior in high school.
Yeah, really bad timing. Hey, you were talking about Deion Sanders on one of your shows the other
Yep.
day, giving him some love because he
Yep.
wants his guys to play in the bowl games. And how do you make your players play in the bowl games? Tie it to the NIL. The people that are sponsoring the kids
Yes.
and paying millions of dollars. If I'm going to hire you as an NIL guy, you're going to play in the bowl games. That's the most exposure the team gets.
That's exactly right. And I've been critical of Dion. Listen, the Big 12 is terrible now. We get that. But they had a really good year, and I give him credit for that. But I love his answer. And I've been very critical of Dion, but I'm also not afraid to prop up people when they need to be propped up.
Yeah.
When he was asked about, are his players going to be there for the bowl game? Because you remember what happened last year with so many teams. And remember Florida State when they didn't make the college football playoff?
Yeah, nobody
It was
played.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
And Dion said, no, everyone's playing. They're all playing. And he went into that. I thought, you know what? I love that. I love a coach to say that. No. They're all playing. I thought that was great. That was outstanding. We
Yep.
need more of that.
I'm completely with you. And you also need the NCAA to look at the transfer portal rules. If you know bowl season's
Yep.
going to be 6 weeks, then you've got to tweak that to where guys aren't making a decision to either enter the portal or play in a bowl game. You got to give them both. It can't be and or.
Amen to that. Hey, don't forget, I'm looking for a rant with Grant tonight on the postgame show, brought to you by EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. This is a long overdue new concept. David and Adam, just two people trying to do something different and better. They offer new vehicle brokerage. They also offer vehicle consignments where they sell your vehicle for you. And of course, they can buy your car and will sell pre-owned vehicles, even your RV or boat. You'll take delivery at their auto lounge in El Dorado Hills Town Center. It means you don't ever go to a dealership. You're not dealing with all the things that you would deal with at a dealership. You're not getting pushed into the F&I office, the pressure that you sometimes experience. Not at EDH Motors. Automotive Reimagined. And to get more information, just go to edhmotors.com. Once again, that website is edhmotors.com. You'll get all the information you need. And don't forget tonight, I need a rant with Grant on the postgame show. And Ryan said, he might pull up with his RV, with his boat hooked up to the back.
No. You misheard, my friend. I don't got all those. I don't have all those shiny things, but they take all of them. So why not? If you're somebody that's looking to do some spring cleaning, just tow them all over to EDH Motors.
Cody says he loves Coach Prime. I don't love him. I can't stand him. I think that his press conferences and calling out the media and his thin skin is too much. And I'm sorry, I'm not a Coach Prime fan. I think he's full of but I'm also not afraid to give him props when I feel props are due, and I feel props are due. I think he's done a very nice job this year, and I love his answer, but I'm not a fan of him at all.
He ripped into his son last game. They had a couple really bad negative plays that took him from the red zone to almost their own territory, and he was all over him. Zakara, what do you make of Jaw's comments of not wanting to dunk anymore, being cognizant of dunking now?
I think it's great. 2 points is 2 points. And when you dunk, you're more susceptible to injury because you're jumping higher and you have to land. And there's a lot of pressure put on your joints, and you can turn an ankle. And so I think it's great. I've always wondered why more players don't do that. They're, again, 2 points is 2 points as long as the ball goes through the basket.
Ja Morant isn't Isaac Jones. He's 185 pounds. It doesn't take much to get hurt at that size when you're elevating as high as he is. In fact, he's one of, I would say, the quickest elevators in the NBA. He has his head at the rim before you know it. So, and then there's the other part of it. You can legitimately hurt your hand on the
Yes.
rim. It is a hard surface. It's
Yes.
metal.
Very, very true. So I I actually was like, wow, you don't normally have a player come out and say that.
Yeah, I think it was Anthony Edwards, right?
Yes,
Yep,
I think
Anthony
it
Edwards
was.
brought that up.
Yeah.
Bucky's
Uh,
got some rant ideas.
if your rant will not be about Keegan, we're going to win the game. Yeah, I think Keegan's a real key tonight. No doubt about it. You know,
It,
uh, what Kings player ate the healthiest? I didn't really watch him eat, so I can't really say. I know that back when we all used to eat together, um, Peja ate pretty healthy. You know, for the most part, the guys ate pretty well, but Jason Williams was the worst. Jason would be eating cheeseburgers and, you know, chicken McNuggets before the game and pizza. And I mean, you'd walk into the locker room 45 minutes before the game and Jason would be chowing down a pizza.
no way.
Oh, absolutely. There's
No, that
unbelievable.
close to
Yes.
the game?
Yeah. Cheeseburgers from In-N-Out. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Oh, oh. There's, you know what? I was always never played at this level, but I was not one of those guys that could go out and play on a full stomach. Like, you need to be a little bit empty. How
It
about
was
you?
unbelievable. I mean, it was
Yeah,
unbelievable. Maybe 45 minutes, maybe it was an hour before the game, but it was not like you were, it was to a point where people were like giving him a hard time. Like, what are you doing, man? You know?
interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. I know Mike because I dined with Mike a few times. I used to work his basketball camps. He had his own little weird things when he went out to eat at
Mike Bibby.
restaurants. Mike Bibby,
Yeah.
correct. He would bring his own silverware, bring his own water, some
Mike was very particular that way. He
very
was a little different.
particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But it worked for him.
it did. It did indeed.
Yeah. I wonder what Mike eats now, because I mean, he's obviously in the bodybuilding and he looks like a
He looks
miniature
great.
Hulk Hogan, you know?
He looks great. He's
Yeah.
doing good stuff. You know, he got most of his tattoos removed. A lot of the Team Dime stuff.
I did not know that.
Yes. Yep. A lot of the
Why?
Team Dime stuff's gone. Well, I think for some obvious reasons.
No, but
But
I mean, like, is there something that happened with Team Dime that I'm not aware of?
well, I not that I know the details of everything that happened with Team Dime, but I don't think it was always the best influence around him. There was a lot of people in that a lot of
And
people
did
in
you,
that crew other than family, but yeah, he's got a lot of the tattoos removed and coaching at Shadow Mountain at times for his son and doing good stuff. But yeah, he looks like $1,000,000. He is big.
yeah,
He is
good for him.
really
I
big.
like Mike. I've always
Yeah,
been a Mike fan. I'm a
such a
big
good
fan of
dude.
Mike. You know what I loved about Mike? I told you we were in the lobby. I was walking through the lobby at the hotel in Washington, D.C.
Uh-huh.
And Mike goes, "Hey, come here." I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Hey, man, why are you being so negative about me on TV?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm getting a lot of people back home saying that, you know, you guys are being negative about me on television with a lot of the graphics and everything you're putting up." I go, "You know what, Mike?" I said, "I'm not aware of that, but I
Mhm.
said when we get home from this trip, I will watch some of the games and I'll let you know, but I'll check it out." He goes, "Thanks." So I went home. The next day I watched some of the games, and you know what? The graphic Mike was going through a really bad time, and we were accentuating the coverage with graphics that did make him look bad, but they were factual. But you know, we are the Kings broadcast, and I brought it to the attention of my producer. I said, you know, and he said, you know, you're probably right. And I went up to Mike. I go, "Hey, Mike," I go, "I watched some of the games, and you know what? I think you're right. I think we were being a little too negative." I said, "I've talked to the producer and we're going to work on that." And he goes, "Hey, thanks. I really appreciate it." I said, "No, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention because
Yeah.
I didn't catch it." So that's the way you handle stuff, like as a professional, right? You don't go up to you don't do what DeMarcus Cousins does. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's a right way and a wrong way to do stuff. And
100%.
Mike knew me well enough where he could come up and tell me how he felt. And I said, I will check it out for you. And had I disagreed with Mike after watching it, I would have said, Mike, I'm going to tell you, I think you're being a little too sensitive. And he probably wouldn't have liked that, but he would have accepted it. But I agreed with him.
There was never anything that wasn't behind your back if you were around Mike. If there was something
I
that
love that
bugged
about Mike.
him, if there was something that he loved, he would tell.
Yep.
If there was something he loved, he'd tell you too. And some people don't do that. He was very involved with the camps when I
Mike.
worked those. But I'll never forget. You'll know this name, Al Biacani.
I love Al.
I'm working out with Al in his program in one of the off seasons. And he goes, I'm gonna put you with Mike today. And Mike's over in another room playing. Sangaila was on the team. We all used to go to a high school and do some shooting in between the workouts. And Mike really kind of took me under his wing. He was so nice to me, and we were doing different workouts, different weights, but he was showing me little things. He pulled me aside about 20 minutes later after that and worked with some handball or some dribbling stuff. And after that, we kind of became cool and talked, but just a great guy. Always would say hi, always Mike. Very professional.
I love that story. Yeah. And that doesn't surprise me about Mike. I was always a Mike fan. I still am. If I saw Mike, I would love to talk to him. But yeah, good for him.
Yep, love that guy. So
yep. Bobby Jackson seemed like a true professional. Also, Bobby was. Bobby was, no question. And boy, got to be tough being on the bench in Philadelphia right now with how bad the Sixers are.
Yeah, he loves his golf too. I heard Bobby's a big golfer. Does. Yeah.
I watched Bobby the first time he ever tried to play golf on the driving range at Granite Bay, and he couldn't even hit the ball. Like it was like swing and miss, swing and no, really, I mean that.
That's
and then
awesome.
Bobby got addicted to the game, and Bobby just hits the hell out of the ball now and is pretty good.
Pretty powerful. Look who's joining us, Rich.
Right now with how bad the Sixers are.
Rich, turn your TV down.
He loves his golf too.
Rich,
yeah.
we can't.
The first time he ever tried to play golf on the driving range at Granite Bay, and he couldn't even hit
not going to work.
Like it was like swing and miss, swing and no, really, I mean that.
Rich, we can't have you on. Your whatever you're using, the audio from our show is coming through your speaker in a delay, and so we can't have a conversation with you until that's corrected. So we'll give you a couple of seconds and see if you can maybe adjust that, and we'll go from there. All right? Let's try it again.
All right, let's try it again.
Rich?
Hello. You there?
Hi, Rich. Yep.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Much better.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Much
awesome.
better.
No, I had my iPad on with my Bose speaker, and now I got it on my phone.
Good.
So we're good.
That's the way it needs to be in the future. It's perfect.
Okay, awesome. No, you guys are talking about Mike. I want to share a quick Mike story. Okay.
Yeah.
The first annual charitable with Vladi Divac Charitable company I was with, we sponsored a lane, and we all had a player come bowl with us. Anyway, Mike was in our lane, right? And he was so awesome, and we got along so well. And he looked at me, he says, man, he says, these people are so close. I'm kind of like feeling like
oh, they were right on the rail. I know.
Yeah, they're right on the rail, right?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm not used to this. These people are so close. I'm like, okay, Mike, just don't worry about them people. Just worry about your bowling, okay? Try and hit down some pins, right? And I start BSing with him, right? Anyway, I have to tell you, and I'm proud to say that I beat him. I had a higher score than Mike. And the next day on the internet, if you looked at it, charitable, and it shows this, it shows Mike, it had Rich, and I had a higher score. So I'm like, all right.
That a boy.
Good for you. There you go.
Yeah. But he was awesome. And then I said, hey, Mike, I got a really good photo with him and I. And then I said, could you ask C-Web to come over here, man? I'm going to get a shot with him. And then C-Web came over, and I got a shot with him and I. It was a great night. And it was really
that was their bowling tournament was great. I remember the first one they had, and I'm with you. It was fabulous. My kids were very young at the time, and they loved it. And got great pictures with all the guys. And I still have pictures from that night. With Lottie and Peja, and they did that for a couple of years for charity. It was really a well done thing.
Yeah, because I got the owner of my company that I was working with. I got him to sponsor. Anyway, because I arranged the whole thing. I got the Vladi jersey autographed by Vladi, so I still have
Good
that
for you.
hanging in the closet. So
Nice.
anyway, hey, you guys, good to see you, and let's get this done tonight. We got this.
Thank you, Rich.
Amen.
Take care, buddy.
All right,
Well,
you too.
Thank you, bud. Let me update you on some scores before we say goodbye. The Cavaliers are up halfway through the second on the Nuggets, 51-40. The Mavericks lead the Wizards with 4:40 left in the first half, 53-36. The Thunder, an 8-point lead in the first 4 minutes in Toronto. And of course, we've got the Kings game starting up in a little bit. Ryan, some final thoughts on this game tonight?
Hey, make the Grizzlies feel you. 3-point defense is going to be absolutely huge. Hustle stats. The Kings have to win, get on the offensive board, second opportunities, and don't throw the ball away. I'm like you, think it's going to be a close game, Names.
You're going to need Keegan Murray to play well tonight. I think that you'll get Fox and Sabonis and DeRozan doing their thing with Monk, but I think you're going to need Keegan Murray in this game. And so I think it's going to be close. I think with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth, this game will be up for grabs. Folks, we'll be with you at halftime. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. That way you'll know of all of our content. You won't miss a thing. See you at halftime. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.